Imposter syndrome. What is it? Can it impact our health? Where does it come from? Hello, I'm Rodger Duckworth, and for the last 30 years I've helped people not only manage but overcome their chronic health issues, sometimes from the edge of despair. In a way, thinking about this just before I came on camera, I think it has to do with self-confidence and a self-assuredness. And there's always a balance between confidence and arrogance, and I ask that question sometimes to other people and to other students is, what is the difference between these two things? And I think the answer is humility. And that necessitates that we could be wrong. Yeah, I think I know this, but I could be wrong. So self-doubt is somewhere in the mix of imposter syndrome, because it says I don't have a right to an opinion, I don't have a right. This is, see another video I've recently just put out of staying in your lane, staying in scope of practice, and these sorts of concepts. If we have a label that says, well, I'm a doctor, or I'm a physiotherapist, or I'm an accountant, and actually, oh well, I don't know about that. Well, why don't you? I mean, okay, yes, of course you've got that form of training, and yes, they're going to know more, but that doesn't mean that someone's feelings and thoughts on a subject that they have thought about and wondered or read about or studied aren't valid. I have another expression: there's no such thing as proof. There's only ever a weight of evidence at a point in time. Let's think about it. There is nothing really that is immutable. We live in this very scientific world that seems to say that, well, we now know. Well, it's proven that. Well, that's nonsense. I promise you, it's utter nonsense. Anybody that knows anything about the realm of research is that it's a constantly changing thing. Even this video, I hope that if this is still there in 100 years' time, someone is laughing their head off at it and saying, what a load of nonsense. I hope they are. Because then it says we've grown and we've evolved. And what we've done is we've continued to think. We have continued to evolve and continued to wonder. That doesn't mean that this is not valid right here and now. Or any of the thoughts that I put out on video here, which are of course very often substantiated in medical research, in physiological evidence and understanding at the point in time. I understand that even things like gravity have actually subtly changed. When I've spoken with physicists, they say it has actually evolved as a concept from when Newton originally described it, and therefore was it proven then? Well, yes and no. Now, it may be subtle changes or it may be gross changes. If we look back in the history of medicine, the things that we were doing 100 years ago frankly would be horrifying, and you'd get struck off. But it was right for then. The PhD, a high accolade in the academic world, is a doctorate of philosophy. And a philosopher is someone who wonders. It's not a doctorate of I know. It's not a doctorate of this is fact. Think about it. In our own education system, how often we talk about, well, I did my O-levels. Yes, I'm old enough for those. O-levels. And then they went to A-levels and they went, well, actually, forget about that because that's not strictly true. And actually, let's evolve it. We simplified it for you there. And now it's richer than that. Or actually, that's not strictly true. We just tell you that then. And then we go to a BSc. Then we go to an MSc. And then we might go to PhD or beyond or wherever we go. And each time we go beyond, sometimes there's building on the foundations there, but sometimes we're going, we need to look at that because it's not quite as simple as we told you then. And it becomes richer and richer and richer and richer and richer. And then we go, well, what do I really know? Not a lot, really, but yet quite a lot. But imposter syndrome, well, it's this doubt that says, oh gosh, what if what I'm saying isn't absolutely 100% proven with irrefutable amounts of research that couldn't possibly be questioned, because then, gosh, what if I'm wrong? Well, we have to be. And it's about a weight of evidence, and we can only ever look at a weight of evidence. And so, but you see, the damaging part of that is, what's the problem with imposter syndrome is, well, it stops people thinking and it stops people putting things out there. We must be safe. We can't just spout some nonsense, out there and say, well, apparently I'm entitled to an opinion. There must be some substance to these things, and this is the balance that I'm talking about. But it can be crippling, and it can be suppressing. And that has an impact on one's health, actually, because it can create an anxiety within the system of, oh gosh, dare I say that? Can I say that? What if somebody says I'm wrong? What if I am wrong? Oh my gosh, maybe I should just not say it. The problem then is, it's this suppression that stops us from having an opinion. Yeah? And what we get is opinion gathering. And we get opinions gathering, which then form momentums that says, well, apparently this must be now the truth because we've decided that this is the truth. Well, that's a pretty dangerous thing. And it can lead to war, and it can lead to immense conflict, instead of a sense of, that's your opinion, you're entitled to it. And this is mine, and this is why I think it. And can we very humbly not become defensive, but to go, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that. I don't have to agree with you, but can we have a chat about that? Let's have a cup of tea while we do it. And that's interesting. And then that allows us to grow. When we are allowed to have different opinions and not suggest that one must be more right than another.